right, hey you guys. So today I want to introduce you to a new series on holistic wisdom. And we are talking about wellness sovereignty, or the art of living well. And in this aspect of holistic living, there are two things I want to just point out and have a quick discussion about today. One is about the map of consciousness, and two is about the body's model, if you will, of illness and health, or imbalance and balance. Overall, we're looking at a harmony. And what's amazing is, and we've talked about the map of consciousness before, so just a refresher, it's the one with all the colors. This is David Hawkins' work, and this is really, I'm gonna give you it right off of his sheet here. There's actually a backside too with little notes. This is actually the anatomy of consciousness, right? It's a profile of the entire human condition. And that's us here on Earth. The human condition is what it's actually referred to as. Allowing a comprehensive analysis of the emotional and spiritual development of individuals, societies, and the race in general. That would be the human race. This is a guide to all of us as to where we are, our neighbors are, on the ladder of spiritual enlightenment. So I find it interesting that when I'm looking at this from a spirituality perspective, we have the emotional body, so we have the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual bodies. But we have primarily the spiritual and emotional bodies in this particular chart. Whereas when I'm looking at the body from a model of health and illness, I don't always like that word, imbalance and balance, right? We're looking at it from a physical and a mental emotional. So these things overlap each other. And one of my favorite awarenesses came pretty early on in a lot of my studies when I was studying Bach flower therapy, and Dr. Bach was a bacteriologist back in around the turn of the century, the late 1800s, early 1900s. And basically the conclusion was that a physical imbalance is actually an imbalance of the spirit coming through the divine onto the planet, onto the earth. So it's kind of cool how these things cross over. So when we're looking at this model, right, of balance versus imbalance, we're looking at, I got some notes over here. And this was in some of my original materials. Such a blessing to have had some of these things so early on. The cell expression. So we know that the energy body turns into, we have this exchange, right, atomically, and with the physical body, atoms to cellular, and cellular health is what we're primarily made up of. So the cell expression is the potential, everything that's in our bodies. And it's how we eat, it's where we live, it's the things that we surround ourselves with, our thoughts, our friends, what we read, what we consume, in many different forms. So in that potential of cell expression, we have both our lifestyle and our environment. So a lot of times when I'm working in this teaching process, we're looking at basic habits or healthy habits. And the challenge is why is it that in our lifestyle we choose things that will immediately throw us into an imbalance? So that lifestyle and that environment, really that critical point of entry into everything that we do. And we get there because we learn it as we are growing up. So wherever it is that we grow up, or however it is that we grow up, these are pieces that fall into place for us. So when we're talking about that cell expression as the potential, then we are on this quest And in our youth, we're still in this developmental and growth stage, but we know that when we get to a certain point, we're looking at the aging process. Well, from when you're born, your cells go through an aging process. So we go from this potential into the maturity. We don't always have to call it aging, it's a maturity. Once we reach our full potential of that maturity, or we just are there, I think there's a lot of room for the interpretation around cell potential and our maturity. We come to a point where we look at what nutrition actually is, what oxygenation does for our cell health, and then do we need to look at it from the perspective of detoxification? The body naturally will go through a detoxification process. It's just part of who you are. It's not like you have to do it on purpose. The only time we have to do it on purpose is when we get to a point kind of where the cup is too full and our body will not, it's clogged, it's congested, and that detoxification process kind of is like super sluggish, or in some cases almost non-existent. But we do have all of these organs that are detox organs, our skin being one of the largest ones, right? We have our lymph system, we have our liver, our kidneys, the colon, breathing, our lungs, we have this breath. Anybody ever have bad breath before? It's because your body is detoxing something, usually out of the gastrointestinal system. Now, this nutrition, oxygenation, and detoxification, the oxygenation is a really cool part of this process because when I use the bioimpedance or the electrointerstitial scan, I can go in and see hydrogen peroxide or oxygen potentials in the scan itself. So it's really kind of cool to kind of see what your body is telling me in that process. We also can see that under the microscope. And they call this rotting and rusting, okay? When your body starts to break down things like the microbiome, the body goes through a rotting process. The same thing as in an apple. This is not a really gross thing, really. This is actually just our bodies going through being a living organism. So if you have an apple, pick it off the tree. It's now no longer a part of its source. And then it goes through a process. If you just set it on a table for an amount of time, now things that impact that are how much of integrity that apple is from the tree. Did it have good nutrients at the root? Is it structurally intact? Are there things, some foods will break down faster than others, and this is true for our human body as well. And some of that is that oxygenation process, right? So that's the rusting part. So rotting is the microbiome. Oxygenation is more like a free radical process, or the ability for the body to start breaking it down, and it acts like a rusting process. So if you have anything in the garage, maybe a couple nails, I don't know, something that's metal and it goes through and it oxidizes, it's the same kind of concept. It's just your body. Kind of cool. The next phase of this we're looking at is this metabolic efficiency. Okay, so we're looking at this model and the things that are in each of these levels. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 of them. Okay, so 6 of these things. We've got cell expression, cell aging, metabolic efficiency. Now, if any of you guys from the CrossFit world, from functional fitness, we know that Metcons or metabolic conditioning or something that I know I'm a little bit of a junkie on that. And what happens is the metabolism is really the body's ability to take the nutrients and use it for energy. This is an energy transfer. The organs that we look at this for are like the pancreas and blood sugar. We're looking at your gastrointestinal system or the digestive process. The endocrine system is huge, right? The endocrine system actually lays over or under, depending on how you look at it, the chakra system. So we've got the glands. We're looking at our circulation, so the heart and lymph pump. That's, in my opinion, depending on which part of the medical journals you're reading, it's those things come together. They each have their own process, but they work together. So circulation overall is both of those pieces. Then we have our detoxification organs. We just talked about those. Primarily the liver and the detox phases. Those are really, really important when we're looking at how the body filters. We're also talking about our immune system and how that functions. So we have, if anyone, you guys, we've had an entire year of learning so much about our immune system. It's absolutely fascinating how our immune system works, from the red blood cell process to the white blood cell and neutrophils, which are like that pseudopod. They go along there, the garbage collectors. You got your B cells and your T cells, thymus. We're looking at, I like to look at it as kind of like your home protection system, right? If you were in your home and the that front light, I always forget what it's called. There's a front light out there and it doesn't go on until something walks by, or maybe it's a cat, maybe it's a deer in our neighborhood. We have like, boom, the light goes on because something created movement and there's like a warning signal out there. I look at that as your monocytes, like what's going on when I look at lab work. This is why it's so fascinating. You can look at it, you can just see what's going on. And then the next level is what happens when they come up, to the door. Or is there an intruder? Are they friendly? Are they not? And your body goes through this whole process for protecting the castle, right? If any of you guys ever watched Osmosis Jones, because he was the white blood cell. He was the police inside your body. Anyway, it's super cool. If you've never seen it, it's worthy of the watch to look at kind of how these things all work together in your body. It is a combo cartoon, real people kind of movie back in I want to say it was in the 80s, maybe early 90s. But we're looking at metabolic efficiency at that level. And when we do look at the lab work, so I've been practicing looking at lab work probably the last 10 years and from people all over the country. And it's amazing to go in and just break down what all of those things mean. So when you're looking at programs like, what did I just see? One of my coaches brought me the Insight, I can't remember what it's called now, sorry. But there's other comparable types of lab testing. You get a group of testing, it breaks things down, and it helps you look at the expression of health that you're in right now currently. Remember, these things are snapshots. They draw the blood, it's a moment in time, we're looking at where you are, and all of those things, we come back to the cell expression, which is lifestyle and environment, impact where you are at that moment in that metabolic efficiency. This is where we drop down, I shouldn't say drop down, drop out, and because all these things work together. It's not linear. They actually kind of all work together. The health function is what we're looking at next in this model. And let me just go over these because there's a kind of a list. So we're looking at your vitality. And a lot of times when you see somebody, let's just say when they first wake up in the morning, because this is when I feel it the most. I may not be quite awake. I may not have all my color. I haven't got my blood circulation going yet. That vitality in your body, that energy, that is you, your glow. Are you a vital being? And that is both, and this is my opinion, your spiritual energy combined with your physical energy, and how those things come together to create who you are. I don't always think of my thought process mentally, but you could definitely do that. Emotional energy, where are you as that whole person on those 4 planes of existence? We're talking about your mood. Now that I look at as my emotional status. What about your body weight? Okay, so I want to qualify this with, this is not about weight loss. This is about your body's natural thermostat, right? That would be in the adipose tissues, kind of on the back of your neck here is your brown fat, and you have brown fat, yellow fat. And it helps regulate that fat in your body is actually for a purpose. Most of us want to get rid of it. And the truth is you need it. You need a good, healthy fat metabolism in your body. It helps you to be a healthy person. It helps those cells flow. We're back to cell expression, right? It's squishy and awesome and really cool stuff. So the weight is about your body's natural ability to balance itself. So the water's balancing, that sodium potassium pump's working. All of these systems, body systems and organs are flowing together, and it gives you your natural set point, your natural weight, and the brain is involved in that too. So it's super cool stuff. I think it's super cool stuff. So thank you if you're still listening. Now we're talking also, we move into resilience, and I will tell you that I believe that resilience covers all of those bodies, your body's ability to be responsive. Emotional resilience comes to mind for the most part because a lot of that is driven by our will, right in here, right in that solar plexus area, right in your power center. Cognition, or your brain's ability to think and process and understand. So brain health is really important. In a lot of times as we're going through the aging process, our cognition starts to go. This is why the fat feeds the brain. Like, your brain is a heavy organ up there. It requires food. It requires fat. It requires nutrients for it to be at its top level. And we want to be able to feed our body and our brain the best that we can. So our last piece of this on this health function, and these are functions of health, so when you look up health and what that means, is performance. So now we're talking about that movement. Now it may not be at a gym, or it may not be in a competitive setting, but how does your body perform? Are you pain-free? Do you have restriction of movement? Are you able to function the best you can for your daily activities? And everyone has a different life, so those requirements for you are different than they might be for me. That doesn't, like I said, mean you're working out in a gym. Some people have very physical jobs. Some people are caretakers of other human beings or animals, and you're required to have this performance level or this movement. This movement's just amazing, and I would consider that functional movement. We move to the last, we're down to the last two, guys, so I'm almost there. The health process, so cell expression or the potential, cell aging, the metabolic efficiency, the health function, which is 6 things, right? 6 things all over your body. Maybe that's close to your 6 senses. I don't know. I'll have to measure that up. The health process, where we're looking at, I would say, the wellness, illness, or the sickness, illness, it's been called in the past, the continuum. Where are you on that continuum? One side is absolutely on the wellness side, and the other side is how your body works when it does become ill, or is it chronically ill? So you have chronic and acute in that situation. Once we have that, are you able to recover? So we've got, and this is how I work on it: illness, recovery, wellness, and rejuvenation. Okay, so it could also be illness, recovery, rejuvenation, and wellness. I kind of like to end up in the wellness bucket personally and with my clients, and then we work in between wellness and rejuvenation, because we are always in a functioning capacity. So wellness is a state, right? It is a constantly ebb and flow, and you can always express just a little bit higher, and that's where we come back to things like cell aging, detoxification, oxygenation driven by your nutrition. So it's kind of a cool dance that we have going on in here. In the last piece of this, we're looking at both yourself. So this process requires self-responsibility and self-awareness. And at the end of this, if we're looking at it linear, which it isn't, we are looking at self-actualization or a mastery piece. Within the self is the cell, and the cells are what drive us biologically here. So when we talk about energy, I think we get energy from multiple places, and one of those is physically, but we also gain energy from our connection to the divine. We also gain energy from each other. So there's multiple ways of gaining energy. And one of the things you want to be looking at is that you're not an energy sucker, right? A lot of times, especially as your health improves, your wellness profile improves, and you're on this lifestyle mapping process, you start to stay away from the people that suck the energy out of you, or as we've called it in the past, where they're sucking the life out of you. There's a reason for that, and because it doesn't feel good. And when you are energized and you have this process to mastery, you feel amazing. You look amazing. You have a beautiful, healthy glow about you. And when we're looking at why when we don't, that's kind of the troubleshooting process of what is in your life, what is in that lifestyle or that environment right up front, and how is that working? And if we're talking about the cell aging, what kind of products are you using hygienically? Like, what are you putting on your body? What are you cleaning your home with? What is around you? Not just products, not just physical walls and flooring and ceilings and nature, and what is around you with people and your job and your focuses. So a lot of this comes back to that circle of life or the wellness wheel. Metabolic efficiency is probably the biggest piece of where I work with people in nutrition, because we can break those down by using lab work, or when I look at hormones, I prefer saliva, or we're looking at the microbiome. Like, what is our gut made up of? Because we know the brain-gut connection is so big in this last decade. It's just so exciting that where's your energy levels? That's really all that metabolism. And then immune system, how are your detox organs working? How's your skin? Things like hair, all those things. It's great. Your body tells you lots of amazing stuff. And then from a health function perspective, that vitality, your mood. I mean, I've known some people that can look really freaking amazing, but they're crunky ass bitch, or, whatever. And it's like, is that quality of life? I mean, maybe it is for them. That's not for me to say. That is absolutely each individual's priority. Like, what is it that you want in your life? How is it you're living? And resilience, that's a big one, especially, let's just talk about this last year super quick. Have you been able to kind of bounce back from some of the things that have been going on, or are you living under this negative, challenging environment? Or are you able to pull things up, and what kind of a human being are you choosing to be? Are you serving others? Are you serving yourself? And I really love to think about the golden rule, the way it was intended, not necessarily the way maybe every person is today or group. The golden rule, right? Do unto others. In all good intentions, we would do unto others. In every religion, you can find it, as you would like to be done unto. So we have this good humanitarian exchange of respect and honoring each other and life and joy. All the other things come with it to the extremes, but it's pretty amazing. All right, guys, so I'm going to say peace out. That is my chill with looking at the map of consciousness. And if you guys pull this up, you can find all of these awesome little pieces of this model of health in here. The higher you vibrate on the chart, on the map of consciousness, the more of this actualization you will have from the physical perspective. When we move out of, and I'm just going to read off the bottom parts here: shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, craving, right? When we move out of those things on a regular basis, we express, and the intermediate part here is really anger, pride. We move into that courage. A lot of people are showing the courage right now. This empowerment, this affirmation that life is worth it. And we hit the neutral point where we're like, woo, what do? We're here. And then we move into willingness to do, to take action, to care about what's happening, acceptance, understanding and forgiveness. And then we start really moving up into that reverence and love, genuinely love for other people, other things and beings, our animals, our environment, and all the way up the ladder: peace, joy, bliss, and enlightenment, based on the way this chart is read. There's a couple of them out there, so there's different versions. But if we have this whole, everything in life is never going to be, we'll call it perfect, but there's perfect for where we are right now. And that's pretty amazing. So I'm going to finish. I'm going to just read this little from Dr. Linda Page, who has been along with me on my journey for the last couple of decades, and I really appreciate her perspective. And today is a very important day. You are exchanging today for a day in your life. You can use it, you can waste it, you can use it for good. When tomorrow comes, today will be gone forever, leaving in its place what you have traded it for. Use it for gain, not loss, for good, not evil, for right, not wrong, for success, not failure. Use it for the best that is in you, so that you will never regret the price that you have paid for this day. Your worth is not determined by the number of pounds you weigh, the amount of money you have, the color of your skin, the branches on your family tree, the size of the hill you can ski, the points you can score, or the people you know. Your worth is determined by your ideals, your values, your dreams, passions, commitments, thoughts, words, and your deeds. Your worth is determined only by the way you live your life. All right, guys. Have a great day. Thank you for being here. I look forward to answering any questions that you have. We had a long chat. This is a little longer than I thought, but at 30 minutes, I'm going to peace out. Have a great day.